Good afternoon and welcome to Small Business Matters, where we discuss all things small business. We talk about the entrepreneurs. We talk about how they make those businesses grow and go. And you might leave here with a tip or two that you can take home and use in your business right away. So today we have two very special guests. Usually we only have one, but we've got a dynamic duo with us today. We've got Lillian Ser from Ser and Associates, the founder, and we've got Zach Evangelista, also a partner at Ser and Associates. Lillian, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having us.
No, my pleasure. I know you both of you are extremely busy, and I know, Lillian, that you are an entrepreneur in your own right. So tell me a little bit about that. I know you work for a big firm, and then Ser and Associates is now, what, 12, 13 years old?
We are going on our 14th year.
14th year.
We have an
Wow.
anniversary coming up in July, actually. And I started the business out of necessity. I was in-house with a developer in 2009, had been with him for a few years. And as you know, we had a big recession at the time and found myself out on my own without really many jobs to go after because of the real estate downturn. So I started my firm, and it's now 14 years later, and I have loved every minute of it. It has been quite the roller coaster. Being an entrepreneur sometimes is not the most coveted of positions. It is lonely at times, especially when you first get started and you have to wear a lot of different hats. You are the IT person, you are the accountant, you are the business developer, and all while you're having to do your work, which in my case, I'm an attorney, as you know.
Okay, great. Zach, how about you? How did you get started with Ser, and where did you come from? I know by your accent, I know you're not from here.
No.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so originally from New England. I moved down here after college, did grad school and law school at FIU, and I happened to graduate during that same recession, so there weren't many jobs available and nothing I had interest in. I wanted to do what we do at Ser and Associates, which is transactional work, helping businesses grow. Only thing available when I graduated was foreclosure work and bankruptcy, and I had no interest in that. So I started my own practice as well. I hang my own shingle through a program that FIU had started. I went to FIU Law School, and through that I was able to build my practice up a bit, and actually had a client that had an issue. The person who ran the program from FIU knew Lily from their days in the Boy Scouts. Their son served in the Scouts together. He connected me with Lily. Lily was able to come in and take care of the issue for my client. And at that time, her practice was starting to really explode, and she talked to me about coming over to help with that growth. And so I moved my little book of business over to hers, and it's been growing ever since.
The rest is history, as they say.
Yes.
I heard there's a new addition to the Ser family.
Yes, there is.
Tell us about that.
So as you know, Jessica Tretto is our office manager and everything. She makes our lives run.
What are you going to do without her?
Well, we're already suffering 2 days into the maternity leave, and we have to put out an engagement letter, and I don't know how to do it, and I'm hoping Zach knows how to do it. So she'll be gone just a few weeks, and then she starts working from home. She had a beautiful baby girl. Her name is Audrey Amelia, and she had her on Tuesday.
That's awesome.
Yes.
I have a question I guess a lot of small businesses have is, I'm a small business. Why do I need an attorney? What are some of the top reasons that myself or anybody else as a small business owner would need an attorney?
Well, as you know, our target market is the small business owner. Not that we don't service larger businesses, but that really is my passion, and those are the people that I like to work with because of their energy, because of how ingenious they are, because of their stamina in running your own business. And many times when people are just getting started, they have to decide how they're going to use their dollars. And oftentimes the professionals are sort of put to the wayside, and understandably, because they have to pay rent, they have to pay payroll, they have to pay themselves, they have to pay for inventory, whatever that might be. So sometimes they cut corners, for example, enter into partnerships with others without having proper documentation in place. It might not be a problem today, but 10 years down the line, when they are not so happy with that partner and that best friend, that, how they started their relationship, then there's nothing in writing. And so it gets a little muddy and can be quite contentious, especially if the business has become successful. Also, we see a lot of small business owners enter into contracts where no one has read the contract. They don't even read the contract, or have entered into a lease with onerous provisions because they didn't read it and they didn't have either the wherewithal or the funds to hire an attorney to review that. Again, may not be a problem today, but in the future, it can be a problem. You may have agreed to provisions that you would not have agreed to had there been an attorney involved to review that. So we really do urge our clients first to read before they sign anything.
Okay.
And if possible, whenever entering into any type of agreement or relationship with someone else, when you're owning property or you're owning a business, is get an attorney. It's well worth it. It'll save you thousands and thousands of dollars.
And thousands
In the
and
future.
thousands
I think
and
people
thousands.
tend not to look at it that way. When they're in trouble is when they'll, dial 911 for their attorney. But Zach, what are some of the things for a business just starting up?
Mm-hmm.
What are some things they should consider from a legal perspective?
There's probably 3 or 4 things that a new business should look at, regardless of the industry. Intellectual property. A lot of businesses don't think they have intellectual property because they're not Facebook or something like that.
What does that mean to the layperson that doesn't know what intellectual property means?
So really, every business has a name, and most businesses have a logo, or at least a stylized way of presenting their name. That's a trademark, and that's for many businesses, especially if you're in the service industry. That may be the most valuable asset to your business, which is the name of the business. And so, figuring out how to protect that is critical to the long-term success and the value of the business. So, regardless of what type of industry you're in, you have a trademark potentially because you have a name. So it's looking at that. Like Lily said, it's understanding your relationships and where the liabilities in those relationships come from. You owe obligations to your landlord. You owe obligations to your business partner. You owe obligations to your vendors and to your customers and all of that. So understanding the value that you're providing and what you expect in return from them. Obviously, ideally, having an attorney help you formalize that in a written contract is best practices. But if not, at least making sure you're able to identify those points and having a growth plan. And probably even stated in a way, an exit strategy. I mean, it's tough when you're starting a business. You're not thinking about the end of the business, but eventually you want to be in a position to really reap the benefits of all the hard work you've put in. And what does that look like for you? You're kind of, it's funny to say traditional startups, but Miami's becoming quite a hub for that, is build a business, sell to somebody, go IPO in 5 years. For a lot of small businesses, that's not necessarily what they're going to do. They might want to pass it on to their kids, to the next generation, but thinking about how does that actually look? So you build towards the end. And It's a bit counterintuitive, but it's a great way to view your business.
Okay. Zach mentioned at the beginning, Lily, that what you specialize is in transactional business. What does that mean as far as what are the areas that you cover within you servicing small businesses? What are the different things that you deal with?
So we basically can provide full service to a business owner for everything having to do with operating the business, also growing the business and protecting the business. What does that mean? So from the inception and operating a business, you need your corporate structuring done. You need your business contracts in place. You have employment law issues when you have employees. And any time that you want to sell or buy a business, all requires documentation. It's a transactional opportunity. And in growing your business, we also do franchising, we do licensing, we do government contracting, which is an incredible way to scale your business when you can enter into a government agency contract or obtain, for example, a concession at the Miami International Airport. I have done quite a few RFPs there, and I have gotten 5 or 6 small mom and pop restaurants into the airport where now they are generating millions of dollars on an annual basis. And we did that through a lot of hard work, but also by obtaining minority certifications and small business certifications, which every government agency has a minority or small business spend, which means they have to enter into contracts with a small business. It's typically 25 to 35%. I think the federal level it's at 33%. And sometimes those government contracts are so large that it's not the small business owner going after that large contract, but it's a major company that can no longer obtain a minority certification or small business certification, so they bring in subcontractors in order to meet that that number that the agency is looking for. And we also provide, as Zach says, services in intellectual property with trademarks and copyright. We do website terms and conditions and privacy policies. We handle real estate, both commercial and residential, do a lot of commercial leasing, land use and zoning if you need to rezone a property or obtain a variance for whatever you might be trying to do if you're moving your business. Buying property to move your business into a larger piece of land or office. And then we also provide litigation services. It's not it's not a big area for us, but we have the availability to litigate or defend. Our goal is always to find a solution for our clients. We never want the first step is let's sue them. Why? Because it's very expensive, and really at the end of the day, it's the attorneys that are making the money.
Right.
And so we always try to find an amicable solution. I'm a certified mediator, so I really do always look for that the solution-based alternatives. If not, sometimes you do have to go to court, and you do have to fight to protect your interests. And finally, what we do for our more seasoned and successful entrepreneurs is we do a lot of succession planning and estate planning. Being Latin, I am aware of how Cubans anyway, I can only speak to the Cuban population, is they don't necessarily think that they're ever going to die. And so a lot of people find themselves in a pickle when someone passes away and they don't have a will or a trust in place. And what does that do? That triggers probate. And that could take a year and a half in Dade County Court. And also there's a lot of tax implications to the heirs. So we do try to work with our clients to ensure that if something terrible were to happen, or if they're incapacitated, for example, who's going to take the reins of that business and who is going to be the heirs that are rightfully going to take over and do the right thing.
If you had to guess, what percentage of small businesses here locally anyway do you think have a succession plan? I see Zach smiling over there, almost laughing.
Under 1%.
Wow, that's incredible. I appreciate your honesty because I've heard the whole thing in a lawsuit. Only the lawyers make money. I've never heard that from a lawyer though. So thanks for that, Lily.
That's true. That's true. Listen, we have a real life example. The last couple of years have represented a very successful company. Three partners that came together years and years ago, all loved each other, great friends. And one partner started behaving badly, and the other 2 partners wanted to get out. Well, guess what? There were no agreements. There's no shareholder agreement in place. Wow. And then the badly behaved partner continued to behave badly, and we ended up in court for probably over a year. And the legal fees all around probably all amounted to $1 million, where they could have had a solid shareholders agreement up front for a few thousand. So that's what we are talking about when is get your ducks in order. Okay, so it's your third or fifth year out, and now you're thinking about it. You could still do it. It's like getting married and doing a postnuptial. It's the same thing.
Right. Okay. So you mentioned minority certification, government contracts. I'm really intrigued by that because when you see somebody at the airport, a business at the airport, you think, this is all politics and this is impossible to get in. Zach, how have you been successful at getting those contracts for your clients? And can you explain the process a little bit? Because you mentioned the RFP. You actually fill in the information. How does that work? Submit it? What is it that you do?
Yeah, so for government contracts, in part because of the perception you just mentioned, as well as perhaps actual instances in the past, there's a pretty strict procurement code to be followed for any type of government contract, depending on the nature of it. The rules vary, but specifically like the airport, their RFPs, requests for proposals. It's a process that's available to anybody. There's certain rules and criteria that are laid out. 5 years of experience, this much in past revenue, this much experience in this particular area, whatever it may be. And so you don't need a lawyer to help you put these things together, but what we do, and the primary value, is we make sure that those boxes are checked, because there's two primary issues that can happen with government contracting. And one is that it's fails to be responsive. So if the contract is awarded by the airport or the county or whatever municipality, another bidder could challenge it because the party that won was not responsive, which means the boxes weren't checked. And you would think that might be an easy process, but these are documents that are hundreds of pages long, and attorneys are used to reading documents that are hundreds of pages long. So we're able to go in there and make sure that while the the proposal is prepared, that all the boxes are checked. Then we also help the client with the other aspects of the request for proposal in terms of thinking through how to be a bit competitive, how to be a bit creative, kind of bleeds outside of the legal counsel. But in all aspects of what we do, we think of ourselves as advisors first. And so we always will provide our 2 cents in things that are, again, because like Lily's experience as an entrepreneur, she knows what it's like to run a small business. She used to wear the IT hat and the marketing hat, et cetera. So we might see something and say, hey, have you guys thought about this aspect of it? And then, again, with the legal side, making sure that the actual response hits all of the boxes so that it can't be challenged when it comes to an award later on. Because bid protests are extremely, extremely difficult, and you don't want to be that 1% that actually gets the bid thrown out.
Oh boy.
It's happened.
Something you said just triggered a question actually. You said that you act a lot like advisors. I guess advisors first. And being a marketing guy, I have to ask you, your slogan, a business approach to legal services, what does that mean?
Well, there are attorneys out there that have a reputation for deal killers.
Okay, I've heard that term before.
It's like when reviewing a contract for, let's say, the purchase of your business, or you're reviewing a lease, or you're buying property. There's a lot of legal terms that go into these documents. And we, as attorneys, will argue over the definition of one or two words, because those one or two words can make all the difference in the world years from now in a litigation situation. However, sometimes the parties are not at the same level, and you have a smaller business, which is typically our side, and then you have a larger business. Let's say in a lease situation where you have your representative tenant and you have a major landlord on the other side. Well, you can ask for the world, and then the landlord will say yay or nay. And that is something that business owners should always keep in mind, is when looking at a lease, don't sign it right away. Ask for what you need for your business. The landlord is waiting for you to ask for things. So don't say, oh, that's the big bad landlord, and they're never going to agree. You'll be surprised at what they'll agree to. And it's typically reasonable requests are granted. So then there's going to be the legalese language that the attorneys are going to argue over. And so what we like to do is we will, of course, identify where we're not getting what we want from the other attorney, and we will present it to the client. This is now a business decision because this is a risk that you are going to have to take. It may never happen in a million years, but there is that chance that it will happen. But is that important to you right now, or is it more important to you to be able to get into a bigger warehouse to be able to continue to manufacture and increase your sales? And so at that point, it's a business decision. I have a business background. I have an MBA. So business to me, it comes almost naturally. And I always bring that into my thinking when I'm dealing with a client. And I do provide advice, sometimes unsolicited.
Okay.
And they can take it or leave it, because at the end of the day, all we are advisors. But at the ultimate decision is the client. But they do need to be aware of where those pitfalls lie.
Okay. You mentioned that you represent a lot of quote unquote little guys. Let's say I'm just starting out, cash flow is king when you're starting out. You don't want to burn through your cash, but I need legal services. What do you say to that? Can I hire Ser and Associates?
You can.
Okay.
And we work with clients all the time. We provide payment plans. We do a lot of flat fee work. But the best thing to do is to sit down with that prospective client. We get to understand what the business is, what the future looks like for this owner, and then identify everything they might need. And then we start picking and choosing what's the most important thing to have right now. Is it that lease, or is it going to be your estate planning? And so we prioritize what's most important for that business owner and for that business. I also came up with a program quite a few years ago and have trademarked the name, and it's called My General Counsel.
Okay.
And when the idea came to me, it's because when representing, let's say, the small tenant, I wanted that tenant to be able to say to that big bad landlord, let me get with my general counsel.
Okay.
And let's let her review it. Because I think that sometimes the bigger player will take advantage of the small guy. So what is the My General Counsel program? It is a tailor-made program for individual clients where we will identify and address the legal issues that are upcoming in the next year. We then come up with a monthly retainer.
Okay.
And the client can then contact us in an unlimited fashion by email or calls or meetings. If there are more specialized services, then those services receive a 20% discount.
Okay.
So, for example, if we have a My General Counsel client and we do have to go to court and the legal fees come in, litigation is a very expensive proposition. And secondly, you don't know how long it's going to be. So there's no way in the world that we can say, okay, pay us X amount a month and it'll include litigation.
Right.
It's just too expensive.
We're almost out of time. How do people get in touch with you? Small businesses, what do they need to know to get in touch with you?
That's easy.
Okay.
Call us,
All right.
305-222-7282. Email us at info@ser-associates.com. And we are on all social media platforms. And what we like to do on the social media platforms is provide educational information for all of our existing and hopefully prospective clients.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being here, Lillian.
Thank you,
Zach,
for having
thanks so
us.
much. Thank you to community newspapers. We'll see you next time on Small Business Matters.